man, I don't know. What do you guys think I should give away when I hit 5,000 subscribers? That's coming up in about 1 month. Thank you to everybody who supports my channel, who has got subscribed, who watches the videos, who comments on the videos. I really appreciate it. When I hit 5,000 subscribers, as always promised, I'm gonna do a glove giveaway. Should it be Bellator gloves that I competed in, or a pair of Leone Glory gloves, 14 ounce, never taken out of the bag, except for the one time I tried them on, never used in the gym. If you guys had a choice and you win the upcoming glove giveaway, which ones would you want? Let me know in the comments below. And like I already said, guys, I'm thinking this will happen in about 1 month when I hit 5,000 subscribers. If you want the best chance possible to win these gloves, make sure you're subscribed and you hit that bell notification. But first, guys, you gotta let me know which gloves I'm gonna be giving away. Let me know which ones you would want if you win. Throw it in the comments below. That'll be the glove giveaway. So today, guys, I want to discuss with you one of the rule sets of kickboxing, and that is the rule of 3 rounds, each being 3 minutes. That's only 9 minutes in total. Now, when you compare that to other fight sports, it's a very, very low number. MMA fighters are doing 3 rounds, but they're 5 minutes. So that's a total of 15 minutes. We have an extra 6 minutes of action. If you're a high-level boxer, you are doing anywhere from 10 to 12 3-minute rounds. So 30 minutes to 36 minutes of action. And in the past, when kickboxing was in its heyday in, I believe, the 80s and early 90s, they were actually fighting for world title fights. They were doing 12 rounds. Now, those were only 2 minutes, and there was no kicks below the waist and no clenching. And Muay Thai universally is 5 3-minute rounds. So we have a full 15 minutes, just like an MMA fight. So why is kickboxing, of all those fight sports, the one that has the lowest amount of time of actual competition? 9 minutes in kickboxing versus 15 for MMA and Muay Thai, and up to 36 minutes for boxing. And there's a very good reason for this 3-minute rounds, and that was strictly because in K1, which was the world-renowned kickboxing organization, they were having their fighters do 3 fights in 1 night. That's how you became the world champion. You had to win 3 fights in 1 night. So it wasn't just 9 minutes of competition, it was 27 minutes of full competition against 3 separate opponents to become the world champion. Now, because K1 was the premier kickboxing organization, everybody else kind of followed suit. And when K1 dissolved and they sort of lost their business and they went bankrupt, everybody else continued with that format. But unfortunately, they got rid of the tournaments. So now we're left with virtually no tournaments where you're fighting consecutive times in 1 night, but we're still sticking to these 3-minute rounds. So the question becomes, is this still practical, and why are they maintaining these 3-minute rounds? Now, first off, the first thing you have to note about kickboxing is it is a very fast-paced sport. It is faster than boxing. It is faster than MMA. MMA can have very explosive fights, but generally the fight will end quickly. Whereas kickboxing, quite often, in my opinion, will go more of a distance fight. But kickboxing is fast and explosive, and the amount of damage you can take with all the low kicks and all the beating to the body, it is substantial. So I guess there's an argument there for maintaining a 3-minute round and only putting combatants through 9 minutes of competition in 1 night. Generally for me, I'm doing title fights, and title fights dictate you do the full 5 rounds instead of the 3. So quite often, assuming that it goes the distance, I'm fighting 15 minutes. But I do know from experience that you can get very damaged and you can be very sore after even 9 minutes of competition. But the problem, I believe, with 3-minute rounds, and this is the reason that I can just tell you guys I'm against this structure for kickboxing, is it's not necessarily the better fighter, the more technical fighter, the guy who should be the dominant fighter, who will win in 3-minute rounds. Now, I know a lot of people will disagree, but let me explain my thought process behind this. And I tell this to amateur fighters all the time. I say, if you are gonna let that first round slip through your grasp, you're gonna let the other guy win because he comes out and maybe he's not as technically sound as you, maybe he's not as proficient as a fighter, but he's gonna come out and he's just gonna haymake and throw ugly shots and keep a ballistic pace. Something that you go, you know what, it's best not to exchange too much in this first round because he's gonna tire down. So your less skilled opponent potentially can take the first round just based on the fact that he's not tired. He can come out and be sloppy. Now the second round, generally people are tired, but they have enough time to recover. So they can come out for the second round, in my experience, and really push for the first half of that round. Now that only leaves the technically proficient fighter with the second half of the second round where your opponent starts to tire out, and the third round when they're usually exhausted. Now this is a very dangerous approach. If it was a 5-round fight, you could give away the first round, a little bit of the second, and then come back and take over the 3rd, 4th, 5th round. And that was actually my game plan when I fought Mosab Amrani. Even though he is a very good fighter, I knew technically I was more sound, and there was no point in exchanging too much, being too dangerous in the first round. So I decided, okay, you know what? I don't even really care if I lose the first. Second, I'll start to pick it up. Hopefully I win that one. And then the 3rd, 4th, 5th, I'm going to take over. But if I fought Mosab Amrani in a 3-round fight, he would have come out. He would have probably won the first just based on aggression. Second would have been really, really hard to take. And then the third, I might have been able to finally take over. But at that point, it's really, really hard, if you're not getting the knockout, to get that win against a super aggressive fighter. So in my opinion of a multiple-time kickboxing world champion, I think the 3-minute rounds without tournaments, without multiple fights in one night, is an obsolete idea. And it's something I think we should change up, because in that 3-round fight, it's not necessarily the more technically proficient fighter or even the better fighter who's going to get the win. It can sometimes just be the more aggressive fighter. So if we switch to 5 rounds, 3 minutes, all of a sudden we have much more at stake in that 4th and 5th round, and the guy who's actually the better fighter can come back if he's still around. Then you have to survive the first 1, 2, 3 to still be there, and then the 4th and the 5th he can come in and start dominating. And I think 5 rounds really proves who is the better fighter. I mean, just look at boxing. If you took one of the all-time greats, Floyd Mayweather, and put him in with somebody like Marcos Maidana for, let's say, 6 rounds, Marcos Maidana could come in and just go ballistic for the first 2 or 3, and then maybe when he starts to peter down, Floyd starts to pick it up, but it becomes a very, very close contest, very difficult for Floyd Mayweather to win. And this is probably true with anybody else he fought. If you took 12 rounds, lowered it down to 6, he's gonna have a much more difficult time winning, because those guys are gonna kind of come out and just want to pressure fight him the whole time. And it wouldn't necessarily give him that amount of time to show how good he is, how well he can pick people apart over that 36 minutes. So I do believe in kickboxing there have been fighters who could be world champions, who could be the #1 in the world, but never got the opportunity because those 3-minute rounds are just very, very damaging on them. Actually, a prime example would be one of my sparring partners, Josh Johnsey. He fought back in Holland. I think that's where the card was, somewhere in Europe. And in the first round, I believe he lost. Second round, he started chopping down the guy's calf. Close round, I believe, and they ended up giving the second round to his opponent. Third round, he started taking over, and he had that guy's calf just mangled. So when the fight finished, technically, the other guy, according to the judges, won 2 rounds, and Josh only won 1. But if we would have given him a 4th and a 5th round, it would be a very different fight. Now that guy has to come out and keep that weight on that calf, which looked like he could hardly stand at the end of the 3rd round. And you know what? Even for myself, I'm going, you know what? 5 rounds sounds like a long, hard fight. But if somebody told me, you know what? We're changing things up. We're gonna change them from normal fights. We're taking them normally 3 rounds up to 5 rounds. And we're gonna take title fights from 5 rounds up to something like 7 or 8. As I say it, I kind of even shudder. I'm just going, oh man, I have to go and fight 7 or 8 rounds. But I think that would actually be beneficial at proving who the actual best in the world is. This is just my opinion, guys. Throw something in the comments below, along with which of those 2 gloves you want me to give away, and let me know what you think about the idea of changing all kickboxing fights to 5 rounds, and even maybe possibly taking title fights up to 7 or 8 rounds. I don't know if you necessarily have to do that, but I really do believe that 3-minute rounds is just not enough. All right, guys, thanks for joining today. If you haven't already, make sure you get subscribed so you have a better chance of winning one of these 2 awesome pairs of gloves. As always, guys, train hard, and I'll see you back here soon for another episode.